Today, I'm making it a manufacturing spotlight series here at CPHI and joined by Raj Puri, the Chief Commercial Officer at Argonaut Manufacturing Services. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How has your first day been at CPHI?
Like always, it's been a blur.
Yeah.
So between the jet lag and running to find meetings, it's just chaos.
Yeah.
But it's been great. So.
What's really surprised me is the size of the it's like a little village in a big city. It's crazy.
I've said it a few times. This is the one show where you realize what a small fish you are in a big pond.
Yeah,
so,
very much
remarkable.
No, perfect. So to start with, can you give us just a quick snapshot into your role and also the business and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. So Argonaut Manufacturing is basically split into two business units. Our first business unit is life science and diagnostic products, and then we have a second business unit that's focused on aseptic drug product services. And my responsibility as the Chief Commercial Officer is I oversee our business development teams for both business units, as well as our project management group.
Perfect. And you're 12 months, I think, now into your role as Chief Commercial Officer. How's it been?
It's been wonderful. I still have more white hair in my beard now after 12 months. It's been incredible. It's been just a blur of activities. We've been able to build a bunch of foundational things that had to be put in place. But yeah, it's been great. I've loved it.
Has there been any surprises?
A pleasant surprise, actually. Whenever you join a new organization, you never know sort of the dynamics of the team. But I'm very, very happy with the team that we inherited, and then also some of the great additions we've made to the team. So that's been a pleasant surprise for sure as our team.
No, and in the past 12 months, has there been any business decisions that you've made that had a big impact? Impact on the business?
It's an interesting question. So one of the first decisions I was asked to make is whether or not we were going to be willing and able to discount services for some of our clients that do what we call N of one programs. Mm-hmm. So these are extremely customized. It's literally one patient that you're making product for. Mm-hmm. And so, because it's one patient, they're very cost sensitive. We've done some of the work in the past, and we're ideally set up for those types of programs because we have very, very low line losses from our filling lines. And the question was, are we willing to do those at essentially no margin? And so we made the decision that we were going to do that. Obviously, there's a huge benefit to patients because they now can get access to product, but quite honestly, it also has a phenomenal impact on our staff. And those are some of the programs that people get the most emotional about. And they take the greatest pride in some of those programs. We've had a number of the patients that are on these therapies come to the site, and there's always tears when our team gets to meet the individuals that are suffering from these rare diseases. So, it financially you take a bit of a hit, but I think, in terms of the culture and mandate for the business, they're extremely valuable. We're so happy that we can protect those.
Amazing. What are the challenges with producing such patient-specific products to that?
So again, you essentially still have all the overheads in terms of manufacturing that you'd have for a product that could go into 100 patients. And so all those costs now are contributed to a single patient. So they become extremely costly. The APIs that we would use, they could be, $1 million worth of API. And so one of the challenges, though, when you're filling such an expensive API for a single patient is that every single drop of that product that gets wasted is potentially a dose for the patient. And so, again, all our systems are all designed to try and minimize that. There's always going to be some loss, but our systems are optimally suited for those really high value products. And again, like ultimately, every drop that's wasted is not a drop that then can be used by that patient. And these are life-saving therapies.
When you look at your capabilities, they're quite broad in terms of aseptic, full finish, lyophilization. What are you most well known for within those capabilities?
So the business was started working in the life science and diagnostics. So we started about 9 years ago, and that was the primary focus. And then 7 years ago, we brought in sort of our head of drug product manufacturing, and 2 years later, we started drug product. And so, I think we're well known in both spaces. When I look at sort of the future of the business, where we've made the biggest investments, it is on the drug product side. So it wouldn't surprise me that in the future that becomes a bigger contributor to our position within the market.
How hard is it to balance the different capabilities that you've got at once?
A great question. So we have a common quality system that sits over both sides of our business. So that's sort of the one shared area. And then they're run as completely different business units. So it's not, I wouldn't say there's any additional complexity with that. There is some complexity, certainly from a branding perspective and making people aware. And we're going through the process of trying to streamline that so it's very clear for clients. For example, we offer lyophilization services on our life sciences side, but we don't do lyophilization on drug product. And we often get inquiries, people are looking to lyophilize a drug product. We don't have that capability. So there are some of those challenges which we're working through, but in general, from an operational perspective, there's no additional complexity here.
From a strategic point of view, why was the decision made to be broad and not double down in a niche?
I think, again, these decisions were made before I got there. I think that there was a recognition that there was a need for sort of small to mid-scale drug product filling. And so, we're an opportunistic organization. We're looking for, where we can fill an unmet need in the market. And so, they jumped into that 7 years ago. And I think we've seen an increased need for that type of service. And so, again, those decisions were made well before I got there. I could kind of envision, as I mentioned earlier, where we're going long term, though, in the future.
Amazing. And exciting news with the recent funding, I think 45 million into the aseptic fill finish facility.
Correct.
Really exciting. What is that going to, most importantly, bring to patients and help the business grow?
Yeah, so that 45 million investment that we received basically funded the building of a new facility, installation of a new filling line. And so the difference with that new line that we just put in is our current line is sort of capped at about 20,000 vials. With the new line, we can do essentially 5 times the batch size. You can now also fill pre-filled syringes or cartridges, and we can now do it at commercial scale. And so that's a huge advantage to Argonaut and our clients. From a patient perspective, we now have a great, U.S.-based manufacturing company that is able to fill, high-value APIs and make them available to the U.S. and patients worldwide, frankly.
No, amazing. And was that deal done in the past 12 months? Was it when you were there, or was it before you joined?
Yeah, there was before I joined. So the investment was made probably 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And so the private equity fund that put the money in there, they sit on our board, and they're very involved in terms of helping to set strategy for the business. Yeah. So
is that dynamic good in terms of, I guess you'll have a lot of collaboration with them? How is that?
It's fantastic. And so I've had the good fortune of working with some other boards, and I can tell you that the dynamics sometimes can be quite
intense,
adversarial and intense, and it's almost they're looking to try and find mistakes that you've made, and that's kind of the focus. This board has been such a refreshing change, because it's all about how do we help you. And so it was wonderful for me as the new guy stepping in, and all right, like how do we help? And they have connections within the industry that they are helping to facilitate for myself and my team. It's been a really welcome change from some of the dynamics I've seen elsewhere.
More exciting. And with the growth that's coming, so with the new site, what are some of the operational challenges you already maybe seeing or foreseeing with that growth, and how are you tackling it?
So I've gone through this in my past, as have many members of our team. So one of the biggest challenges when you add a new capability like the new filling line we put in place is that, we have to grow our team to be able to run that facility consistently. And again, it will grow over time. Bringing in really good people, training them well. And then one of the big ones that often gets overlooked is maintaining your culture. Is because if you're bringing in a bunch of new people, it's very easy for your culture to get diluted, and it can change. And that can actually be very toxic to an organization. So it's something that, we have a very robust strategy in terms of how we're going through our hiring process, but then also making sure that we don't lose, that really valuable Argonaut culture.
How would you describe the culture?
It's a culture where everybody's willing to roll up their sleeves. I said that pleasant surprise at the beginning. You just never know what you're going to see. And this organization, it's one where, if there's an issue, everybody will jump in to help. Nobody worries about what their job title is. Nobody worries what their job description says. If there's something to be done, they'll do it. And, a perfect example is we had the grand opening of our new facility 2 weeks ago. And despite being in beautiful, Carlsbad, San Diego area, where it's sunshine 364 days a year, we had torrential downpour, and it was just it was a miserable day from a weather perspective. But we probably had 30 or 40 members of our team, operators, project managers, all functions, step up and do whatever they could to help make sure the day was a success. That's the kind of culture that I think we're very, very fortunate to have, and we want to be very careful that we don't lose that as we grow the organization.
So basically, you were a standard day in the UK where we're
That's
from
right.
that you had experienced.
Exactly.
Yeah, welcome to our world.
Well, I live in Toronto, and so it's always this kind of running joke that the people in San Diego complain that there's two clouds in the sky. It's an overcast day, and I'm like it's -20. Like, come on, guys.
There's nothing to complain about.
Exactly.
So looking ahead then to the next sort of 1 to 2 years, what are your top priorities that you're driving?
Yeah. So again, the only long-term guarantee we have for success is happy clients. And so we got to make sure that we execute as flawlessly as possible. There's always issues, but as flawlessly as possible, on time. With my team and my functions, we need to make sure we continue to find new clients, and we service the hell out of our clients. The other big one for us is that, we are commercial ready. And so we are, really anxious and excited to go through an FDA pre-approval inspection. And so we have now a number of clients that are getting very close, where we're going to be doing PPQ work. Once we've done that work, they'll submit the data to the FDA, and then we'll have the FDA come through the facility. And for us, that's a huge inflection point for the business. And so, over the next couple of years, those are my top priorities.
You're going to be busy.
We're going to be very busy.
Yeah. So with the wide range of modalities that you have so far, is it about adding new ones? Is it about scaling it? What are you looking to introduce to shape the future moving forward?
So the first job is to fill the capacity that we have today. That's number one. As we lift our heads and look, okay, where else do we want to be? I think we probably will make another investment into another filling line. There's some other unique capabilities that we want to add into that filling line. But it takes 3 to 3.5 years from when you start to when you get it implemented. So we know that we need to start that process now. And so that's part of our objectives in 2025 and in early 2026 to set strategy long-term for where we're going to take the business as we grow.
What are you most excited about?
What am I most excited about? Working with the team. It's fantastic. I mean, it's not unexpected that there's some holes in how we did things. And, one of the things hopefully I can bring to the organization, I've been in the CDMO space for a long time. We're able to patch some of those things and we can build a really solid foundation. We're going to get busier as we go. And so we need to make sure we have that solid foundation so that as we get busier, we're not getting roadblocked by preventable issues. Getting that PAI done is, one of the things that excites me the most in terms of, sort of taking us to that next level. Again, I love being part of product development and seeing the work that our clients are doing. It's extremely motivating to see some of the therapies they're developing. And you know what? One of the nice things about being a CDMO, you get to see all kinds of different products. If you're in a biotech company, you might be lucky if you had 3 or 4. We see 3 or 4 a week. And so, that's one of the exciting and personally motivating things for me is to get to see the breadth of different technologies being developed. So I love that with my job.
And if you could go back to day one, 12 months ago, when you joined the business, what's one thing you wish you knew?
Sure.
From today.
Get more sleep. This is intense. So it's, it's to say it's 24/7 is overstating it, but it's definitely more than a full-time job, but it's wonderful. Like it's one of those jobs where yes, it's a lot of time, but it's also extremely gratifying. And I take tremendous pride in, what we've done both historically, but also what we've done in the last year. And, it's extremely motivating for me to be part of the team.
Amazing. No, it's been thank you for coming on our Spotlight series. It's been a great, quick conversation. Really excited to see what the future holds for you. And in 12 months, we'll see if you've got more sleep.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks
Appreciate
a lot.
it. Pleasure.
Thank you.